Hey, welcome back all you bus nuts, geeks, and enthusiasts out there. Welcome to another episode of Motor Coach World. My name is James. So for a while now, one of my viewers, Michael Butler, has been asking me to make a video about what I do as the Director of Operations at Peoria Charter. Michael, if you're watching this, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for putting your request off for so long. I'm gonna be honest, I was very hesitant about making a video just about me and what I do aside from driving once in a while. But today I'm finally gonna do it, except not only am I gonna talk about my position here at Peoria Charter, I'm gonna talk about all the different jobs here at Peoria Charter and what it takes to get a motor coach out on the road. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the obvious one. Now, I've done several videos about what it's like to be a coach bus driver in the US, as well as a video on how they are paid. And if you really wanna know from the first person perspective on what it's like to be a charter bus driver, go check out my other channel where I basically strap a camera onto myself whenever I go drive a bus trip. Link's gonna be up here and down in the description box below. As a Director of Operations, I always tell everyone I work with that unless you are a driver or a diesel technician here at Peoria Charter, no matter what else your title might be, your first job is to make sure our drivers and technicians have what they need to do their jobs safely. Because without them, let's face it, all of our jobs would be useless. So this is where it all starts. The charter sales rep spends his or her day taking phone calls and answering emails from people who want to charter a bus. It's the charter rep's job to book the trip, calculate the price, receive and review the itinerary, as well as make sure that there's availability as far as bus and driver goes to do the trip on the day that the customer wants. Aside from charter sales, Peoria Charter also has a custom tour planner and travel agents to provide customers who want to go somewhere but not quite sure where and may need some help and advice. You can literally call Peoria Charter and have us put a whole package trip together for you and your group, and it doesn't have to even be on a bus. I mean, some of our trips go to other countries. Our dispatchers work very closely with our charter sales representatives. For every trip our charter sales rep books, it's the dispatcher's job to make sure that there's a driver assigned to the trip. But it's not as simple as it sounds. It's probably one of the most challenging jobs in the company. If it's a trip that requires multiple legs, meaning that the trip will need more than one driver to complete, dispatch has to figure out which driver is driving what leg of the trip, where the trade-out points will be, who's taking what van to meet what bus, make sure all the hotel arrangements are made, and if it's more than one bus on that trip, then that means doing all of what I just said for however many buses there are. Dispatch is also constantly under the pressure of making sure all trips are covered. If a driver calls in sick or can't work, then it's the dispatcher's headache to try to replace the driver. Aside from the driver, without the diesel tech, motor coach company really can't run. It's the diesel tech's job not only to keep the buses running, but also to keep them running safely. Diesel techs have to make sure that our entire fleet is compliant within the Department of Transportation, otherwise known as DOT. The safety rating, as well as the reputation of the entire company, depends partially on how well and meticulous the diesel techs do their jobs. They don't have the luxury of sitting in an air-conditioned or heated office all day long. They're always crawling underneath or into cramped spaces, covered in oil and other engine fluids. Their jobs are just very physically demanding, while always being on a tight deadline to make sure that a particular bus can go out on a trip in time.
How much refit time till we can take her out again?
8 weeks, sir. But you don't have 8 weeks, so I'll do it for you in 2.
It's always amazing to me what these guys can fix and get working again. When you work in the transportation industry, whether you own a fleet of buses, planes, taxis, or rickshaws, I mean, if it's man-made and mechanical, it's going to break down on you. And part of why I admire the diesel tech so much is because no matter how much you try, how well you do your jobs, road failures are going to happen. And when it does happen, all eyes usually land on the technician who are there to keep the vehicles running.
Coolant leak! Rick, we got a coolant leak in the engine core. I can't shut it down. I estimate 2 minutes to a warp core breach.
I did a video a while ago about what wash crew do to keep our buses clean and sanitary. It's amazing what havoc 50 passengers can do to the inside of a motor coach during a trip. Feel free to check that video out if you want to know all the details of what the bus and the wash crew go through to get the vehicle ready for its next trip. Link's going to be up here and down in the description box below. But in short, it's the wash crew's job that every coach is swept, mopped, all surfaces sanitized, restroom dumped and cleaned, and exterior washed before the bus leaves for its next trip. A wash crew also fuels the coach as well as check fluids and document lost and found when an item is found on the bus. At Peoria Charter, we have a 24/7 customer call center. Passengers can call us and reach a live person all hours of the day to change their bus ticket or to ask about travel times. Our call center also handles lost and found calls as well as assisting customers with options when their flight is delayed coming in, as well as helping with issues and complaints. The call center is managed by a call center supervisor who manages the scheduling as well as the proficiency and company knowledge of all call center staff. Now, aside from selling and booking charter buses, Peoria Charter also has a large line run schedule operation. In 2019, before the pandemic hit, Peoria Charter transported over 300,000 passengers on its line run service with over 14 departures a day to and from the Chicagoland area as well as airports. The line run manager oversees ridership numbers and designs each route to make sure that the times between each stop is realistic for the bus driver. The line run manager also creates routes and times and destinations based on trends and popularity while managing the profitability of each run. Now, this is a job that requires a very high degree of math and knowledgeable of statistics, as well as a very analytical mind. So for those of you who took stats in college and got frustrated wondering when you'll ever need to do this kind of stuff, well, you will if you want to run our line run operations at Peoria Charter. Now, I did a video all about what a line run is. Feel free to check that out as well. And again, link will be popping up here somewhere and down in the description box below. Now, this one's also another pretty self-explanatory one. Driver trainers at Peoria Charter are selected from our driver pool based on experience, safety record, and miles driven. When a driver proves him or herself capable of not only being able to drive a bus, but also being able to handle and diffuse situations as well as customer service skills, Peoria Charter asks them to come in to train and assess new driver candidates. Our driver trainers have to learn how to administer and teach our 4-week driver training curriculum to all potential drivers. Part of this training is classroom and the other part is over the road. Aside from driving lessons, the trainers teach our drivers how to do paperwork, logging their hours, as well as learning our company culture and problem-solving skills while over the road.
Lesson 456. Learn to sway like the ginkgo flower.
Now, this is one of those titles that are often not recognized and tend to be undervalued. And for smaller operations, these positions may not be effective. When you have a fleet of motor coaches of more than 30, someone has to make sure that everything ties together. Facility coordinators mainly work next to the diesel techs. Coordinators don't actually work on the buses. Instead, they relay to the techs what bus with what issue needs to be prioritized based on the needs of dispatch, charter sales, and the scheduled line run departments. Facility coordinators also help the director of operations and vice president of the company accomplish all the technical details and daily tasks, as well as become the voice of the technician for their needs. Coordinators also make sure that all the little details are working and taken care of. Things that no one thinks about but requires a lot of hands-on management. Things like making sure that the camera system on every bus is working, making sure that every bus has a working communication radio, as well as ordering more if replacements are needed. Also, keeping track of Wi-Fi, making sure all the Wi-Fi systems on all buses are working, making sure that all electronic logging devices are working, and seeing to it that the ones that are not working are repaired or replaced in a timely fashion. Basically, a constant record of which bus needs what equipment changed or repaired on it. Coordinators take a lot of stuff off the shoulders of technicians as well as upper management. Now, for a small fleet of 5 to 10 buses, someone like me, the director of operations, or even the owner would be handling all this kind of stuff. But with 40 to 60 buses, that in itself is a full-time job. Bottom line, a facility coordinator is a person that oversees the maintenance side of things and maintains quality control of all things bus related.
How else can I keep my reputation as a miracle worker?
With all the positions I just listed, someone has to make sure that they have the right people to fill these positions. And that's where the human resource manager comes in. Our HR manager manages our company's hiring page as well as ads to let the public know what our company is hiring for. The HR manager also works closely with upper management to get an understanding of what skills and qualifications each position should be filled with. And then the HR manager carries out interviews to assess each candidate that comes through the door. So it's very important for this person to know what it is that upper management wants for those that are hired on as drivers as well as other positions. The human resource manager also goes to and attends career fairs and recruiting functions to get our company's name out there for potential future employees of the company. Now, you're not going to find this job title in most family-owned motor coach companies. But since Peoria Charter has its own in-house computer program that we use from handling dispatching, maintenance, charter sales to payrolls and ticket sales, as well as almost every aspect of everything we do, we have our own development team. These guys not only maintain our system and fix bugs, anytime the company needs anything added or adjusted to the program we use to run our company, our own dedicated team of programmers are there to deliver. Because of this, Peoria Charter does not have to rely on any third-party software company to create what we need. We don't have to settle for a piece of software created by a software company that has never operated a bus company before. There's no waiting on hold to try to talk to a script-reading customer support agent to elevate our ticket so that we can be transferred to a level 3 tech after 2 hours of being on hold. A 3-digit extension gets anyone in the company to the desks of our developers to request what they want changed next, and that's freaking awesome. So this is what I do. I am the Director of Operations for Peoria Charter Coach. I work very closely with the Vice President and CEO of the company to help create the vision and direction of where we want the company to go. The Vice President of the company essentially does the same thing that I do, except for the other facility of our company in Peoria, as I work out of the Urbana location. We work very closely with each other to create a positive culture within the company and answer to the president or CEO and carry out his directives. Now, in the order of things, I technically answer to the vice president, but we work so closely with each other and have such a great working relationship with each other that rank doesn't really mean anything between us. Also, as far as leadership goes, pulling rank has never been much my style of doing things. Personally, I feel like if you have to pull rank on someone in a workplace and you're not in the military, you haven't been a very good leader to them. Anyway, it's my job as well as the VP's job to make sure that all departments of the company are working with each other towards keeping our fleet safe, well maintained, and our passengers safe and happy. Based on our finances, the CEO, Vice President, and I make decisions on when to sell a bus and when to purchase one, along with other major purchasing decisions like creating our own bus company software. It's kind of up to me and the VP to basically come up with the effective solutions to problems that the company faces, as well as moving the company forward. And in order to accomplish this, I myself am really nothing without all of the people in the positions I've just listed. The team is absolutely everything. Now, even though I got here because of my passion and love for buses, I would have to say that only 10% of my job is actually getting to manage and play with the buses. 90% of what I actually do as a director of operations of a bus company is to deal with people and try to make sure that there is an open line of communication between everyone who works here. The vice president and I spend most of our time making sure that each department knows what the other department is doing so that everyone is on the same page, and that's not an easy thing to do most of the time. And the larger an organization gets, the harder it is to maintain this line of communication. You guys ever notice that as a customer, that sometimes the hardest types of companies to do business with are the larger ones, and that the larger the company gets, the more the employees seem to not know what's going on? And for someone like you, the customer who's trying to order something or use their services, That's extremely frustrating. Well, I can guarantee you that it's not any less frustrating for the actual employees that work there. Not all large conglomerates are like this, but the ones that are, it's a sign of a bad leadership team. In a nutshell, I spend most of my time trying to make sure that things like that don't happen here at Peoria Charter for our customers as well as our employees, especially the drivers. This would be Mr. Bill Winkler himself. Bill Winkler is the owner / president and CEO of Peoria Charter. He's also the accountant for the company as well. I don't know what else I can really say about this position other than the fact that over the years, Bill has put a lot of trust into the vice president and I to run things, and that I report to him and carry out the decisions that he, the vice president, and I come up with as a team. The bottom line is, he's the boss. I definitely don't want to end this video without mentioning the administrative assistant. She's been with the company for many years and she serves as mainly an assistant for Bill, from bookkeeping to issuing checks to calculating hours and payroll. Now, if you work for a motor coach company, wherever you may be, please feel free to let me know down in the comments below how you guys are staffed. What does your team look like at your bus company? I'd be very interested to see all the differences and similarities. I hope you liked today's video. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're watching this, line please.
You are part of the motor coach world.
You are part of the motor coach world.